Welcome into today's edition of Just the Truth. Glad to have you join me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. The New York Post reported that the NYPD started bringing in large buses to take protesters away once they began making arrests last night. This happened just after 9 p.m. when NYPD cops in riot gear began a raid of Columbia University following the many days of anti-Israel agitators taking over the campus. We have the details and up-to-date news on that. Department of Homeland Security data is revealing that more than 45 cities in the U.S. took in hundreds of thousands of migrants that were flown in via a controversial parole program for 4 nationalities, with the vast majority entering the U.S. via airports in Florida. And former President Donald Trump accused the Trump presiding over his trial in Manhattan of rigging the 2024 election after ruling the 45th president violated a gag order stemming from the case. Also, Donald Trump, of course, did not participate in any of the GOP primary debates, as you may recall, but he appears to be looking forward to debating Joe Biden in the fall and is encouraging the Commission on Presidential Debates to have them early and often. We have the details on that as well. Hope you'll join today's conversation. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your text to the Furman Ford text line. You can leave me a voice message, and your emails are welcome as well. joey@joeyhudson.com.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Large crowds of protesters watching the NYPD as they're taking the asylum back last night away from the inmates. The New York Post first reported that helmeted NYPD cops assembled at the 114th and Broadway intersection as they began a raid of Columbia University following days of anti-Israel agitators literally taking over buildings on the campus. The police reportedly began to move in around 9 p.m. last night. They surrounded Hamilton Hall, which was being occupied by anti-Israel agitators. Students were seen waving a Palestinian flag from inside Hamilton Hall as police attempted to secure the building and move people away before they made entry. Columbia Student Radio reported that NYPD entered Hamilton Hall through windows and pulled students out with sledgehammers. NYPD also started bringing in these large buses to take the protesters away once they began making the arrest. As the NYPD raided Columbia University last night, House Speaker Mike Johnson said that President Joe Biden is hiding out and avoiding his responsibilities. Johnson wrote on his in a post on X, quote, amid the absolute chaos at Columbia University, Joe Biden is absent because he is afraid to face the issue. Meanwhile, House Republicans are leading the effort to investigate these institutions for their failure to protect Jewish students and maintain order on campus. Fox News confirmed last night that the NYPD officers used at least 4 distraction devices to clear Hamilton Hall at the university. Distraction devices used by police are typically light sound devices like flashbangs. Some consist of a powder charge in a canister. You could also see as you watched the video last night, it was kind of intriguing to me, actually, as the NYPD slowly made their way up to the building. They had some type of device. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. It was almost like a ladder type device that lofted officers up to the window, and you could see the officers very cautiously entering the window to get inside of the building. Columbia Students for Justice in Palestine shared a video on X of the NYPD, as they described it, raiding the campus amid the weeks of unrest and claimed that saying that it will not stop them. They said university from a vantage point of John Jay, where students and press have been barricaded into the building, disclosed, divest, we will not stop, we will not rest, the group wrote. Former President Trump told Sean Hannity last night that Biden has to strengthen up and he's got to be heard when it comes to campus protests. The former president was appearing on Fox News on the Hannity show, had comments about a number of things, but Hannity talked with him about this being Trump's former favorite city. Of course, Donald Trump spent many, many years in New York, has some of the most famous, iconic buildings in the city. People who have lived in New York in the past are somewhat ashamed of what it's turned into. Here's the conversation between Sean Hannity and Donald Trump.
Well, it's just such a sad thing to see, Sean. When you look at this, it's not even believable. If you go back a year or go back 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, this would not even be possible to think about. Nobody would be thinking this could happen. You look at the anti-Semitism, the hatred of Israel by so many people. You go back 10 years, I mean, Israel was protected by Congress, and now Congress is just doing numbers that are unbelievable with, I think, a very, very small group of people within Congress, and it's got to stop. But we have to go back to the roots. We have to protect. We have to stop the anti-Semitism that's just pervading our country right now, and Biden has to do something. Biden is supposed to be the voice of our country, and it's certainly not much of a voice. It's a voice that nobody's heard. And look, I don't think he's able to do it. I don't think he's got what it takes to do it, but he's got to. He's got to strengthen up, and he's got to be heard.
As arrests were being made on Columbia's campus, Trump also commented on the possibility that most of the protesters are potentially professional, maybe being paid. Trump also said Columbia University should have called in the police much sooner, saying it should have not gotten to this. They should have done it a lot sooner before they took over the building. And I have to agree with him on that. By allowing those kids to enter that building and take over that building, they should have stopped it way before then. Later in the evening, video captured and posted on various social media sites showed many NYPD officers arresting the anti-Israel protesters, leading the students off in zip-tied handcuffs to these buses that they had brought in. At least 3 protesters were seen walked off campus by officers. The protesters were being brought in, again, at that 114th Street. If you've ever been in that upper area of Manhattan, you know the area around Columbus Circle. This comes as NYPD officers began working to clear the area. The building was occupied by protesters. The school said in a statement last night, "We believe that the group that broke into and occupied the building is led by individuals who are not affiliated with the university." It'll be interesting to see. And we should probably know that sometime today after police question the ones that they arrested. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that New York City Mayor Eric Adams and Columbia University's leadership will be responsible if any students are injured Tuesday night. It's let's put it on the city and the school. What about the students themselves? What responsibility do they have, AOC? She said if any kid is hurt tonight, responsibility will fall on the mayor and university presidents. Other leaders in schools have found a safe, de-escalatory path. This is the opposite of leadership and endangers public safety. A nightmare in the making. I urge the mayor to reverse course. What have other schools done there, AOC, when buildings have been taken over? What was your response to January the 6th? You wanted those people put in jail and to be held as they have been, in some cases for years now. Wonder if you would like for these students to be treated the same way. It's the same offense, right? The school said that the decision to bring in the NYPD was made early Tuesday morning. In their statement, they said, "We were left with no choice. We believe that the group that broke into and occupied the building is led by individuals who are not part of the campus." Former Congressman and New York gubernatorial candidate Lee Zeldin wrote in a post on X that it's time to take back Hamilton Hall. He said NYPD is capable of quickly and efficiently dismantling the Hamas-allied stronghold at Columbia University. Time to take back Hamilton Hall, he wrote. Arrests should be made, and anyone here on a visa should be immediately deported. Now, not all Columbia students are bad. Not all are protesting. Not all are anti-Israel. 2 students attempted to stop the break-in of Hamilton Hall. They appeared on the Laura Ingraham show, telling the Fox News Network that they wanted to make a quiet statement by standing up to the unruliness. Charles Beck and Rory Wilson are their name. Beck was filmed being assailed by masked demonstrators. Wilson joined his classmate in a spur-of-the-moment decision, he said, stemming from his disdain of the chaos. Video of the confrontation showed these 2 students standing on the steps of Hamilton Hall, which was the building that was besieged and ultimately occupied by the protesters, who at one point had a pizza hoisted up to a higher floor of the building. Chants could be heard in the background as one female demonstrator calls for her compatriots to circle blockade them and to move them out, talking about these 2 young men who were standing at the door trying to prevent the students from entering the building. Here's their story as they told it to Laura Ingraham on Fox News.
All right, despite this travesty that we're seeing on campus, there is some hope. 2 brave students at Columbia faced off against the angry mob as they tried to break into Hamilton Hall.
Running circle blockade around these 3. We're going to move them out. Let's go.
Another human chain.
The people united will never. Get someone wrap around. Get inside.
Is someone recording this? Are you recording this?
I
This is 100% assault. What is your name? What is your name?
All right, walk.
Can you wrap around?
One at a time.
Joining me now, Rory Wilson and Charles Beck, the 2 students you just saw. You guys, first of all, major kudos to you. I don't know whether just to congratulate you or declare you insane for trying to face off against that mob. But Rory, let's start with you. What made you decide to take that stand?
Well, it was pretty much on the spur of the moment. My friends got me out of bed, told me something was happening on campus. I ran over and I saw that it was pretty much chaos. People were smashing in the windows. Massive mob gathered outside of Hamilton Hall, piling up chairs on the inside and that sort of thing. So I wanted, just kind of off the cuff of it, wanted to show that I disapproved of what was going on, that this was completely inappropriate, destroying the property of our university, and that this is not at all the way that we ought to conduct ourselves in any sort of discourse. And so I just wanted to register my protest against their protest. That's what I was telling them when they were yelling at me, and say, I'll protest your protest. I'm free to do that.
Well, Charles, you actually got dragged away, I understand, at one point. Here's what happened. Watch.
You guys are the ones dragging people away.
All right, this is assault.
You're shoving me. All right.
So you know, you don't want to ruin your whole life.
Oh, sorry,
ruin your whole life.
I'm trying to get him and my other friend out.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to get them out. Thank you. Don't mess. Why are you trying to get us out?
Charles, one of your friends said something to you to convince you to move away at that point. What was said?
Yeah, that's a good friend of mine who I've known for quite a couple years. Essentially, he was really just quite scared for my health and safety. He had sort of had a top field vision of it, and he was afraid that if I'd remained there, that the crowd would have caused me serious bodily injury, even death. And essentially, what he whispered to me was, well, something along the lines of, "Don't be stupid, don't get martyred for a building."
Well, at least I agree with Laura Ingraham. There does seem to be some hope. Not all these kids are just thugs out protesting something that, as if you listen to yesterday's episode, I shared with you a couple of young ladies who were at NYU. They were Columbia University students, but had gone down to NYU earlier this week protesting, but they couldn't tell you what they were protesting for. And I would bet you that a lot of the students in those crowds that we're seeing probably would fall into that category. The university, upon issuing the order for the NYPD to go in and take their building back, said, "We regret that protesters have chosen to escalate the situation through their actions. After the university learned overnight that Hamilton Hall had been occupied, vandalized, and blockaded, we were left with no choice. Columbia Public Safety personnel were forced out of the building, and a member of our facilities team was threatened. We will not risk the safety of our community or the potential for further escalation. I don't know why they needed to use the word regret. Why should they regret taking their building back? The school shouldn't be regretful. Why should school officials regret taking this action? These thugs masquerading as students left them no choice. School officials cannot allow these students, these protesters, these thugs to take control of a building. It's just that simple. And they should have been, and I hope they'll be treated just like the January 6th defendants have been. Put them in jail, hold them until they're tried. I mean, why are they different? What is different with what they've done versus what the January 6th protesters did? Moving on, the Department of Homeland Security data is revealing that more than 45 cities in the U.S., that hundreds of thousands of migrants have been flown into these cities via a controversial parole program for 4 nationalities, with the vast majority entering the U.S. via airports in Florida. I have those details in just a moment. First, let me talk with you about PhD weight loss and nutrition. Are you ready to lose that weight for the last time? Are you ready to get healthy, to take your life back? Maybe because of your weight and because of your health, you haven't been able to play with the grandkids or the kids. You haven't been able to play a full round of golf without getting winded. Or maybe you just aren't looking forward to this summer for going to the beach. Well, we can turn all that around. If you go ahead and call and get started now, you'll be well on your way by the time we roll into June and July, when we're all wanting to be out on the lake and be at the beach. Call right now, 864-252-4925. Set up your initial consultation with PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. Boy, am I glad I met Dr. Ashley Lucas almost 4 years ago now. This will change your life. Take my word for it. I lost 30 pounds very quickly, by the way, and I've been able to maintain that weight for almost 4 years now. Dr. Lucas founded this program. It's based on the science of nutrition, what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat. And the best part of it is, and I'm a testament to that, is they teach you, they give you the skills to be able to maintain this weight once you stop the weight loss phase of the program. 864-252-4925. Write that down right now. If you don't have a pen and piece of paper, hit pause on the podcast. Get that pen and piece of paper and write down 864-252-4925. Find them online as well at myphdweightloss.com. They have offices here in Greenville, Asheville, Charlotte, and Lake Norman, and they can do their program anywhere in the U.S. If you have a phone, they can do it with you. 864-252-4925, myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. During an 8-month period from January through August of 2023, roughly 200,000 migrants flew into the U.S. via this program that the Department of Homeland Security has issued some of the data now. Of those who entered the U.S., 80% of them, 161,562, arrived in the state of Florida in 4 cities: Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, and Tampa Bay, according to DHS data obtained via a subpoena by the House Homeland Security Committee and released to the media. The policy was first announced for Venezuelans in October of 2022, which allowed a limited number to fly or travel directly into the U.S. as long as they had not entered illegally prior to this, and they had a sponsor in the U.S. already, and that they had passed certain biometric and biographical vetting. The program does not itself facilitate flights. Migrants were responsible for their own travel into the U.S. In January 2023, the administration announced that the Biden administration, that the program was expanding to include Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Cubans, and that the program would allow up to 30,000 people per month into the U.S. It allows for migrants to receive work permits and a 2-year authorization to live in the U.S. and was announced alongside an expansion of Title 42 expulsions to include those nationalities. By the end of February of this year, 2024, more than 400,000 nationals have arrived under the parole program, according to Customs and Border Protection data. 400,000. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas recently said that the program is, quote, safe and orderly and a way to reach the United States, and has led to a reduction in the number of those nationalities. He said it's a key element of our efforts to address the unprecedented level of migration throughout our hemisphere, and other countries around the world see it as a model to tackle the challenge of increased irregular migration that they, too, are experiencing. So what are some of the cities? Well, Miami was at the top. Miami, according to data, received 91,821. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, followed closely with 60,461. New York City, 14,000, just over 14,800. Houston, Texas, 7,900. Orlando, just over 6,000. Los Angeles, 3,200. Tampa, Florida, 3,200. Dallas, Texas, just over 2,000. San Francisco, just over 2,000. You had Atlanta, Georgia, Newark, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Illinois, with only 496, by the way. Las Vegas, Nevada, 483, and Austin, Texas, with 171. DHS also revealed in the subpoena that as of October 2023, there were about 1.6 million applicants waiting for DHS approval to fly to the U.S. via this same parole program. Let that sink in for a minute. Let me read that to you again. According to DHS, they revealed in this subpoena that as of October 2023, about 1.6 million applicants are waiting for DHS approval to just fly into our country. Now, I guess one could argue this is better than walking in at the border illegally. But when does this stop? When do we close the doors, lock the doors, and say no more? DHS said in its subpoena response, all individuals paroled into the United States are by definition inadmissible, including those paroled under the CHNV processes. Now, Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mark Green argues that the program exceeds parole powers put in place by Congress. The authority is to be used on a case-by-case basis for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit, he said. He went on to say, these documents expose the egregious lengths Secretary Mayorkas will go to ensure inadmissible aliens that they reach every corner of the country, from Orlando and Atlanta to Las Vegas and San Francisco. Secretary Mayorkas' CHNV parole program is an unlawful sleight of hand used to hide the worsening border crisis from the American people. Implementing a program that allows otherwise inadmissible aliens to fly directly into the U.S., not for significant public benefit or urgent humanitarian reasons as the Immigration and Nationality Act mandates, has been proven an impeachable offense. He then made reference to the House's efforts to impeach Mayorkas. The chamber impeached him, as you know. The Senate refused to have a trial. He went on to say, following our subpoenas and the House's impeachment vote, especially in light of the Senate's complete failure to fulfill its duty to hold a trial, the committee will not rest until this administration is finally held accountable for its open borders agenda and its devastating impact on our homeland security. Green's arguments against the program have been echoed in a lawsuit filed by a number of states who have sued to block the program. So far, it has been unsuccessful, but they're not going to give up. There are 20 states involved. They argue that it amounts to the creation of a new visa program that allows hundreds of thousands of aliens to enter the United States who otherwise have no basis for doing so. But this is typical of the Biden administration. We've seen this. We've seen the Biden administration do these types of things, literally thumb their nose at the law, at the rule of law, to do something that they want to do. They know it's illegal, but they would rather ask for forgiveness, knowing that it takes a long time and a lot of money, and quite often the Biden Department of Justice just ignores it. This lawsuit initially was struck down by a district judge. States have appealed. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' administration has repeatedly said it is confident that the lawsuit will ultimately be successful. Press Secretary Jeremy Redfern told the media Biden's parole program is unlawful and constitutes an abuse of constitutional authority. Florida is currently suing Biden to shut it down, and we believe that we will prevail. But boy, think about the damage that's being done as this process is going on. Plus the fact, think about Florida having to use hard-earned tax dollars of citizens in Florida to challenge the federal government. It's like we're fighting our own government constantly, aren't we? DHS has said that those who enter the U.S. under the program undergo and clear a robust security vetting as well as other eligibility criteria. A spokesperson from DHS says these processes are publicly available online, and DHS has been providing regular updates on their use to the public. These processes are part of the administration's strategy to combine expanded lawful pathways with stronger consequences to reduce irregular migration and have kept hundreds of thousands of people from migrating irregularly. Again, it still baffles my mind as to why. Forget about your party affiliation. Forget about that you're a Democrat, that you're a progressive Democrat. Aren't you an American first? Wouldn't you want to take care of our own citizens in this country first? I don't get it. Can you help me get inside the head of someone like an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who thinks this is a good idea to let these hundreds of thousands, millions of people come into our country, and in this case, literally fly into an airport. Fly into an airport, they get their stamp, they get their work permit, and they're wished wish good luck and on their way. Who thinks that is a good idea? 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. I would love to get your comments on this. Help me understand this, if you would. Help me understand. Try to think like a Democrat now. That's probably a bit of a challenge for those of you listening to Just the Truth. But help me try to understand why anyone would think this is a good thing for our country. Even if you're Joe Biden, even if you're Chucky Schumer, even if you're Nancy Pelosi. Why do they think we have to save the world or try to save the world? Comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line. Leave a voice message. Emails are welcome. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Former President Trump accused the judge presiding over his trial in Manhattan of rigging the 2024 election after ruling that the 45th president violated a gag order stemming from the case and fined him $1,000 per act of violation. Cost him $9,000. I'll give you the details on that. First, let me talk with you about that new vehicle that you're looking for. If you're looking for a new SUV, possibly, maybe you need a new work truck, a Ford F-150. Furman Ford in Lawrence can help you with all of that, and you can have the confidence of knowing that you're dealing with a locally owned, family operated business as a bonus. It's not some dealership owned by some corporate entity. Your money, when you purchase a vehicle at Furman Ford in Lawrence, when you pay for service at Furman Ford in Lawrence, you know that your money is staying right here in our upstate community. It's not being sent back to some corporation in New York City or Chicago or someplace. Furman Ford, they do business right. Their name is on the sign because Jim Furman and Matthew Furman recognize and they take very seriously the fact that every single transaction comes back to them. That's why they say their name is on the sign, because their name is on the line. When you go buy Furman Ford, when you call them, when you send them an email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman family. They'll help you navigate some of the great deals they have on that wonderful inventory of great pre-owned vehicles that you can trust. You know that they've been looked at, evaluated by the Furman Ford staff. They'll help you with one of their new vehicles, or if you want to order something special, they'll help you with that as well. Furman Ford. Find them online at FurmanFord.com. FurmanFord.com. Well, it was quite the day in a Manhattan court for Donald Trump. Not necessarily anything to do with the actual case, but the fact that according to Trump, and he posted on Truth Social, this judge has taken away my constitutional rights to free speech. I am the only presidential candidate in history to be gagged. He said this whole trial is rigged, and by taking away my freedom of speech, this highly conflicted judge is rigging the presidential 2024 election interference, ! Trump continued. He's responding to the fact that earlier on Tuesday, Judge Juan Merchan ruled that Trump had violated a gag order that bans him from speaking publicly about witnesses and family members of court officials. The judge ruled Trump violated the order on 9 separate occasions on social media posts, and each violation resulted in a $1,000 fine. Trump was ordered to pay $9,000 for violating the gag order. Following the ruling, Trump removed the social media post found in violation of the order from his Truth Social. Merchan's ruling comes after Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office accused Trump of violating the order 14 times since it was imposed last month. Merchan detailed in order that if Trump carries out continued willful violations of the gag order, he could face incarceratory, easy for you to say, that he could face incarceratory punishment if necessary and appropriate, meaning he'd put him in jail rather than fining him. The judge actually complained about the fact that he could not fine him more. Now, Trump has repeatedly railed against the gag order, calling the case overall as a scam promoted by the Biden administration, and saying that the gag order has stripped him of the ability to defend himself against the accusations. Trump said outside of the New York City courtroom last week, "We have a gag order, which to me is totally unconstitutional. I'm not allowed to talk, but people are allowed to talk about me." And they do. He said they can say whatever they want. They can lie, but I'm not allowed to say anything. I just have to sit back and look at why a conflicted judge has ordered me to have a gag order, Trump said in comments outside of the courtroom. He said yesterday morning that Merchan should recuse himself from the case, citing again that he's conflicted. Trump said outside of the courtroom before the trial kicked off for its 9th day, "This is a hoax. This is a judge who is conflicted, badly conflicted. I've never seen a judge so conflicted and giving us virtually no rulings. I'm going to sit in the freezing cold ice box for 8 hours, 9 hours or so. They took me off the campaign trail, but the good news is my poll numbers are the highest it's ever been. So at least we're getting the word out," he said, "and everybody knows this trial is a scam. It's a scam," he said. "The judge should be recused." The former president previously cited Merchan's daughter and her work as a political consultant for Democrat politicians as a reason that the judge is conflicted. In Merchan's ruling regarding the gag order, yesterday the judge complained of not being able to fine Trump more than $1,000 per violation. He wrote in the order that it would be preferable if the court could impose a fine more commensurate with the wealth of the contemptor. He said in some cases that might be a $2,500 fine. In other cases, it might be a $150,000 fine. Because this court is not cloaked with such discretion, it must therefore consider whether in some instances jail may be a necessary punishment. He wrote, highlighting again that Trump could face time behind bars if he continues to violate the order. Basically, the judge is saying $1,000 to Donald Trump is nothing. The fact that he had to write a $9,000 check for the 9 times that the judge found that he violated the gag order, $9,000 is nothing to Donald Trump. That'd be like maybe you and me spending $90. Well, actually, $90 is a lot of money to me as well. As you know, Trump is on trial for 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. He's pleaded not guilty to each, and he's called it a witch hunt. The New York versus Trump case focuses on Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, and the fact that he paid former pornographic actor Stormy Daniels $130,000 to allegedly keep her quiet of the alleged extramarital affair that she had with the then real estate businessman in 2006. Prosecutors allege that the Trump organization reimbursed Cohen and fraudulently logged the payments as legal expenses. Prosecutors are working to prove that Trump falsified the records with the intent to commit or conceal a second crime, which is a felony, in violation of a New York law called conspiracy to promote or prevent election. 864-477-5639 is the Furman Ford text line. Your comments are welcome. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, writing today, Dennis in Anderson says, Joey, about Kristi Noem killing the dog. I know people are upset, but not only did the dog mess up a hunt, the dog killed chickens, bit multiple people, and showed aggressive behavior towards others. Would you give a dog like that away that could possibly hurt someone else, even a child? Dennis, I would not, but that's not how the way it was portrayed to me. I'm going to have to dig a little deeper on this, Dennis, because of course, I haven't read her book yet. I haven't read Governor Noem's book, but the excerpt that I did read was basically she complained because the dog had literally disrupted a hunt rather than doing what it's trained to do. I'll dig a little deeper and get back with you, Dennis. Ray writes, good morning, Joey. A quick thought. All the tents and camping gear used by the Hamas protesters, paid for by organizers, probably Iran, could be better used by the illegal aliens flooding our country. Did I say that out loud? He writes. Guess I'm on the bad list now. Oh, well. Ray, appreciate that. Susan writes, I listened to your friend Mike's podcast last night and perceived his and his callers' accusations of everyone outraged by Kristi Noem shooting her dog not being outraged by abortion to be disingenuous. You might want to inform your friend that it's possible to be equally outraged by both, as I am. Farm life, quote, is no excuse for shooting Cricket instead of rehoming him, just like Biden's dog was rehomed after biting all those Secret Service agents. That's a good point, Susan. Biden, he's had 2 dogs that's bitten Secret Service agents. Faye writes, Joey, hearing that Obama, Biden are bringing Palestinians here actually makes me very concerned, and everybody gives Biden one pass after another. We don't have our country anymore, she says. I say treason it. Makes me wonder if our election will actually happen. Faye, we're going to have an election, and we're going to win it, and we're going to take our country back. You heard it here first on Just the Truth. Our text of encouragement today, optimism is a happiness magnet. If you stay positive, good things and good people will be drawn to you. Someone emailed this to me. It was originally said by Mary Lou Retton, the Olympic gold medalist. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-5639. Voicemails welcome as well. Donald Trump, as you probably remember, did not participate in a single GOP primary debate this year, but he appears to be looking forward to debating Joe Biden in the fall and is encouraging the Commission on Presidential Debates to have them early and often. Details on that in just a moment. First, portions of today's show made possible by Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading the entire kitchen, doing a whole kitchen remodel, and you need all new appliances, you don't want to have to wait weeks or months to start using them, right? You're not going to have to when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. There's never any shipping or supply issues. They have over 1,500 appliances in stock. Quite often, you can buy it today and use it today. They have over 11,000 square feet of warehouse space crammed full of appliances. And with their expert installation, their award-winning service department, and their extended warranties, Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they have you covered well after the sale. That's because you're more than just a credit card swipe to Jeff and Johnny and Kyle and the whole team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They really do treat you like family. Discounted Appliance Warehouse are proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor for up to 7 years. You can find them online at dawpickens.com. That's dawpickens.com. It's going to be here before we know it. Time for the debates, and I got a feeling this is going to be fun to watch. The Commission on Presidential Debates will proceed, they say, with its original schedule despite requests from former President Trump to have more events and to make them earlier. The commission released its schedule last November, but Trump's camp has urged organizers to offer earlier and more frequent debates in a bid to outshine President Biden on stage. The CPD said in a statement, the CPD's criteria will be applied in early September. Afterwards, the commission will extend debate invitations to qualifying candidates. The commission went on to add the CPD is proceeding with production and broadcast plans at its 4 debate sites as announced in November of 2023. Now, reacting to yesterday's report, the Trump campaign said, this was Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles speaking on behalf of the Trump campaign, they argued that the move by the commission is unacceptable. They also extended an invitation to every television network in America that wishes to host a debate and urged the Biden campaign to coordinate to set up a debate as soon as possible, not to wait to the fall. Trump, for months, has repeatedly called on his Democrat successor in the White House to join him on a debate stage. Radio personality Howard Stern interviewed Biden just this past week, and he asked about debates. Biden replied, I am somewhere. I don't know when. I'm happy to debate him. It was one of those moments where Biden looked confused and he wasn't sure that he was even president. Trump pounced on the comment, asserting that he was eager to debate under any conditions and at any time. He wrote on Truth Social, everyone knows he doesn't really mean it, but in case he does, I say anywhere, anytime, any place, an old expression used by fighters, he said. Earlier this year, the Trump campaign wrote a letter to the commission to request that the debate schedule be expanded and moved up on the calendar. LaCivita and Wiles wrote in the letter, the commission must move up the timetable of the proposed 2024 debates to ensure that more Americans have a full chance to see the candidates before they start voting, and we would argue for adding more debates in addition to those currently on the proposed schedule. Now, part of the complaint is that with early voting now, people need to be able to hear the debates, watch the debates much sooner than in the past when we did not have early voting. Prior to the Howard Stern interview, the Biden campaign remained a little coy about the president's willingness to debate, characterizing Trump's emphasis on the question as desperate. Biden told reporters in Nevada, if I were him, I would want to debate me too. He's got nothing else to do. The first presidential debate is scheduled for September the 16th. It will be at Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas. The second debate is scheduled in Petersburg, Virginia on October the 1st. The third will be held in Salt Lake City on October the 9th. A vice presidential debate is scheduled for September 25th in Easton, Pennsylvania. Now, the Trump campaign pointed to the commission decision on Tuesday evening, charged by refusing to move up the debates, they are doing a grave disservice to the American public who deserve to hear from both candidates before voting begins. President Trump has stated he will debate Joe Biden anytime, anywhere, any place, and Joe Biden himself just agreed to debate. We are committed to making this happen with or without the Presidential Debate Commission. We extend an invitation to every television network in America that wishes to host a debate. The American people deserve it, the campaign said. The commission for more than 3 decades has hosted and produced the presidential and vice presidential general election debates. You may recall 2 years ago, the Republican National Committee voted unanimously to stop working with the commission, which it charged was biased against GOP candidates. What do you think? Should there be more debates? And is there any reason to wait till after the conventions? Should Donald Trump and Joe Biden hit the debate stage now? I don't see anything wrong with it. I think the earlier the better. We're not going to see that happen. Joe Biden will probably try to wiggle out of the 3 debates that the commission's already set up, because they certainly do not want him on the stage with Donald Trump. That's a given. That's it for today's Just the Truth. Hey, appreciate you joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio to lose weight for the last time. Visit myphdweightloss.com. Join our mailing list at joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button. You can receive our emails with the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Just search for Joey Hudson. Send a quick text if you can't find that, and I'll send you a link to our YouTube channel. Thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and forward Just the Truth to friends and family. We need to build our community as we head into the June primaries and especially the November general elections. The way we beat Joe Biden and the Democrats in November is to show up and vote and to take all of our family and our friends with us. And we need to educate people, and that's what we do here on Just the Truth. So take a minute right now and share Just the Truth with a friend. Send it to some people on your contact list. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Keep your emails coming as well, joey@joeyhudson.com. We're back again tomorrow. I hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.